only wants you to make good beer. And have fun hanging out with your friends. Here's Dono.
Today's episode brought to you with support from Northern Brewer. I've been buying my ingredients and supplies there for 23 years. I'm delighted to have them in support of the program. Check them out at northernbrewer.com. Today on the program we have something kind of fun. Back in 2009, Surly gave away this 1081 wort, and it was an imperial brown, and you could ferment it with whatever you wanted. I used just 1056. So Todd gave us the recipe like this, and so then in 2009, wait for it, correction, in 2000, that was 2009. In 2014, I made a version of it, 1070 asterisk. Ended with 5.5 gallon. Okay, so would have been a little higher, but I ended with more volume. So basically, I made this beer based on the recipe, and this was my home brewed recipe, and this is basically exactly what I have going on today, except I don't have this Canadian pale. I just have raw, and then instead of 1.25 pounds of brown, I just have 1 pound. But I do have the 1/4 pound of the dark and the extra dark, and I do have all of these hops, and I have a different yeast, and I do have the dark candy syrup. Side note, in 2015, I went to Thirsty Pagan, this brew pub in Superior, Wisconsin, and I was a guest brewer, and I brewed this recipe. So there's a fun video on that, and I believe in this video there is me tasting the beer. Oh, there's my friend Jerry, that we brewed there. So anyway, all of that will be linked. You can check out any of that stuff. But I wanted a fall beer. I didn't kind of get triggered into the robust porter stout mind frame, but I do have this big brown ale going. Here's some of the hops. I've already added a bittering charge. There is one component of just brewing with what I have on hand, and that is I have this Dieter yeast, which I believe is like a Kolsch yeast. The temperature range is a little cooler than a regular ale, so we'll see if we can keep it in that range. And then of course I do have to remember to add this. I don't think it matters when. And so I haven't been making a lot of yeast starters because I haven't needed them. I've been using some Kvike slurry or just pitching a pack, but this beer is going to be hopefully 1070 plus with 13.5 pounds of grain and a pound of, it'll be around 1070. But also the garden is winding down. However, I did have this is one tomato plant that's a volunteer tomato plant. I didn't plant it, it just came back, and I mean, I have gotten so many of these little tomatoes off of this thing. They're not cherry tomatoes, but they're not as big as Roma tomatoes. Have had some tomatillos, but things are winding down, people. The tomatoes are still have a few. Beans are drying up, but I did get a lot of beans. The sunflower heads are gone. The animals have gotten their way with those, and that's fine. And but yeah, it was a decent year. Good tomatoes, good green beans, a few peppers. But yeah, this puppy is boiling. I'm a simmering boil. I might give it a small notch upwards. But yeah, hopefully this will turn out nice. Well, talk about it later, but the brown malt gives this beer a unique character that I had never really had brown malt before, and since then I've made this beer a couple of times and also made a brown porter that uses that malt. Time to add the first hops. I saw this recipe has some bittering hops, but then also some at like 40 minutes, which is something we've talked about. Chip and I were talking about that. I think that we used to do more multiple hop additions throughout the boil, but over time we sort of do that less often. Kind of interesting with these doses at the end. Anyway, those are the bittering hops. Maybe I'll stir them in a little bit. So kind of odd, the last time I made this beer, time for this flame out hops, I ended with 5.5 gallons, and today after an hour I noticed it still seemed pretty full even after I added the pots that were on my stove. And I took a measurement, and even though it's boiling, so maybe it's expanded, and the wort chiller was in there, it was over 6 gallons. Or this was maybe like a little before the boil, so I decided to just keep boiling. So anyway, long story short, I boiled for 80 minutes. I think I still might end up with over 5 gallons, but I'm just trying to get to kind of like a gravity that I want, but I'm also hoping I don't make it too bitter. But it's weird that it's like twice in a row now with this particular batch, so I don't know if it has anything to do with the ingredients. The malt is similar to other batches, but we'll see how it comes out. So I did end with a little over 5 gallons. Here's the color. It's in the upper 1060s, mid to upper at least. The starter looks good. It's a little bit older of yeast, but it did foam up and ferment just fine. I am gonna do the pure oxygen aeration. It's I mean, it's a bigger-ish gravity, even though I do have a starter. But yeah, I'm gonna hit it with that, try to keep it under 70, and hopefully it will be fermenting soon. We are only about 4 hours after pitching, and it is bubbling. Now watch, it won't do it, but you can see, like, there, it just did it. But yeah, I mean, that's always positive. Not like a giant Croissant situation just yet, but that's fine. The temperature is 66. I have an ice jug there and one there, and this room is about upper 60s, but if I can keep it in the upper to mid 60s for fermenting, that would be good. So I just took this shirt off. Come down this morning, and this is always what you like to see. It is definitely going well, and also another thing you like to see is right in the middle of the temperature range of 60 to 69, and it's 64. I'm going to swap out these ice jugs, and hopefully it'll stay in this range. Then it does the more of the whatchamacallit.
Oh, that's right. That is the weirdest thing with your camera. I've never seen a camera like,
well, it's
the preview changes.
It's for photos. The photo is different. Oh wait, that's not even. The photo is different than the video. What do you guys think about the color? Do you agree it's
I
not?
love the color.
But do you agree it's not like almost not a brown?
What is brown?
Brown ale. Well, it's not red.
Right.
It's not like
It's
light
not
red
black.
or dark red.
And it's not a black
not
IPA.
yellow.
It was
That's
never
not-
supposed to be.
That's
so.
true.
Yeah, it's brown.
It's a brown ale.
Yeah.
An imperial.
I didn't think about the cars. You got wind and cars.
Take it when we can get it.
I realized it was the Indy 500
Project.
speedway through here. So it got down 10, 11. From 1067. I brewed it on October 8th, so it's only a month since brew day. And I was wondering if it...
There are leaves bombarding this camera.
I was wondering if it was ready for a tasting or if I should give it some more time. And these guys thought it was okay. So here we are. So, cheers.
Cheers.
We've been in the backyard, but now we just came to the front yard and we're in the sunshine.
It's nice.
Delightful.
No, part of why I decided to say that, like, yeah, I think it's drinkable now is like, it's not hot. It's, you know, we talked about brown malt edginess isn't there. I mean, it's there, but to the degree you'd kind of want it. To me, I don't know. It's not unlike a Burton ale kind of vibe to me, or as I suggested beforehand, like barley wine that doesn't really like linger sweet. It kind of lingers a little roasty. I don't know. I really think it's on point right now.
I dig it. Yeah.
Especially if you're going to call
that's
it
a wrap.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to call it imperial, it should be a little
Extra.
Well,
hoppy.
so I don't really call it that, although that was the original sort of
What do you
description.
call it, Don?
Pick up
Big.
the
I call it a
1011.
big brown ale.
Big brown ale. Yeah. That's
When known as Big Brown Ale.
No, but it like if it was 1080 plus, which the original one was, that's
Right.
a little bigger than 1067.
So what is the ABV though? It's got to be 8. You don't think?
1067 to 1011.
It's
I can't do that
all
math in
maybe
my head. but
7-ish.
7.
Okay.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
drinks 8.
I think it is. It's funny because even like maybe if I had it a week ago, I was like, oh, I don't know if it's ready yet. But then like, yeah, now it does have it's softened a little bit. There's but the burnt toast character from the brown malt definitely comes through, and that's one of the reasons that I liked this beer, because I had never had that exact flavor before.
And I think there's a time and a place for it, for sure. Like, I think it's a nice balance to the gravity and the sweetness. It's malty, like you were saying, but it's not like that rich, sweet maltiness. It's like a little more aggressive and earthy and toasty.
What about
Yeah.
the hop bitterness? I would have thought, I think it's there, but for 1 ounce of Columbus at 80 minutes of boiling, and then another ounce at 50, might have thought it would even have more
It's-
hop bitterness. There's some there, though.
It's there, but it's riding shotgun to the brown malt.
Maybe
I
that's
think.
it.
Yeah.
I was also getting kind of like double or I guess triple dark mild kind of vibes from it because like I was thinking I was like it's got like brown sugar invert sugar notes, and then you mentioned
Belgian candy sugar.
boom I was
Went in
like,
there.
oh, so
Is the
it's
D90
kind of in
like
that-
a darker one?
Yes.
Okay.
Not the darkest.
right?
Okay.
And the Dieter, which is an malt.
Yeah, so what does the...
yeast.
No. Kolsch?
Oh, Kaiser's the malt yeast maybe. I don't know.
think it's
Either way, it's
Kolsch.
a German ale.
But what does that do for us? I mean, it's just...
I feel like
In
you
this
keep
case,
it real clean.
yeah,
right?
I mean, it isn't like you're drinking a Kolsch where you would have this delicate malt profile, maybe the yeast.
If anything, I think it's just
Possibly
getting out of
could
the
be
way
more-
and letting
yeah.
it be all the
Extra toasty.
the
extra
eccentric
malty.
notes of that malt.
The
bill.
Yeah.
bitterness.
Extra dark dried fruit notes from the sugar syrup.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Evil Knievel comes through.
Loud pipes save lives.
I say, I keep figuring out the color. I mean, now we're directly in the sun, so
It's
you can...
copper.
You're
I mean, I would
skunking
say
your
it's
beer.
like it's
Ah,
like a
Kind of
dark
like a
copper.
ruby. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Sun always lights.
I don't know if you'll
up
leave
the
that part
color.
in when we first were rolling, but like Don's like, "Is it brown?" Dawson said, "What is brown?" I mean, yes, this is not a black IPA, but it never said it was trying to be. It's darker than Newcastle,
I
which is
think
a
it
nut
was,
brown ale. So
Previous times, I think it was a little bit darker, but whatever. I was still figuring out the ingredients situation.
previous times we were all a little bit darker.
Huh?
We've all lightened up with age.
I don't know what that means. And with
Oh,
So
I thought
with-
you were making
speaking
an
of-
evolution joke.
Speaking of age, what do you think will happen with age?
I think it will only be more enjoyable. I mean, I think your hoppiest beers might drop off with the super hop bite of the hop freshness, but I mean the malt character in this beer is gonna be there. And I think it's gonna be around for a bit too, because Beth won't be drinking too much of this. It's gonna be around on tap for whoever wants it.
Imperial
Come
Dark
on
Mild.
back. Imperial Dark.
Imperial Dark Mild.
Big dark mild.
Well, thanks again to Todd Haug and Surly for allowing him to make that recipe for the wort rally that brought this beer to the world. I've made this beer a couple times. I made a brown porter where I used brown malt. I don't know if I've used it another time, but it's like one of those things. I never would have used it.
It's a little bit of an unsung hero.
Yeah.
Nice beer, thanks, Don.
Yeah.
Unless you're Chris England, then you sing about it a lot.
Oh, does he like it?
I think he likes brown malt and amber malt.
Stout malt. Thanks to Northern Brewer for supporting this program, the inaugural episode with their support. I had a great time making this beer. Enjoyed time tasting it with y'all. Cheers. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.